Main character energy. One who is trying to focus more on themselves and make their wants and desires first and foremost, aka a dickhead overly attached to their mediocre life.
I feel like one of the biggest issues our generation is facing is the magnitude of self-importance that everyone seems to be experiencing at once. With 4.5 billion people on social media, most are broadcasting some aspect of their life on the internet because they're delusional enough to think that someone actually cares about their opinions. Oh shit. We're so egocentric that we even made a term for completely invalidating a belief or action just because it doesn't align with our own values. We call this cancel culture, but what it really is bigotry. We silence unpopular opinions and refuse to hear the other side like a child covering their ears and pretending not to hear anything. From this perspective, we're right and everybody else is wrong. Main character energy is just narcissism presented as a socially acceptable aesthetic. Before someone makes a comment about how the community of these people who expect the world to revolve around them is well-intentioned and say some shit like, we're just misunderstood, let's talk about the audience of the people watching these videos. Because I feel like sometimes we forget just how irresponsible some of the people who use the internet actually are. Let me remind you that a quarter of TikTok users are aged 10 to 19, aka people that we think, at least in America, are too young to do something like consent to sex or make any big life decision. Half of them aren't even old enough to drive a fucking car, yet we expect them to responsibly handle the massive amount of information and opinions they're exposed to on a daily basis. Bro, what? Bitches can't even see over a fucking steering wheel, but we're giving them access to the most powerful and influential resource on the planet? We're exposing impressionable children to a platform literally curated to manipulate people's beliefs, and you think that they have the attention span, maturity, or even desire to question what the fuck kind of bullshit they're being fed? No, we've put machine guns in the hands of children, and you are actually delusional if you think they're going to handle it responsibly. According to research, 90% of those a part of Gen Z believe that they're open-minded, but this open-mindedness is about as legitimate as that statistic I just pulled out of my ass. On the outside, Gen Z appears very accepting of others' sense of individuality and self-expression, but that's only true when that expression aligns with their own values. For example, we have total acceptance for minorities like those in the LGBTQIA, alphabet soup, whatever the fuck Z, Zer shit, ethnic minorities, those with mental health problems. I made a video about that, go watch it. But mention the T word or something about how men and women aren't the same and you'll see just how quickly that acceptance and open-mindedness turns into blatant intolerance. I found this clip on YouTube of this professor named Peterson who's trying to give a lecture about the importance of freedom of speech while surrounded by SJWs who somehow think that throwing a temper tantrum is an effective way to demonstrate their argument. They are literally holding up a sign that says no freedom for hate speech while simultaneously yelling hate speech at the professor. The hypocrisy in this video is almost comical. But when any of Gen Z opens their mouth to speak in support of their belief, they offer no actual explanation. It's a big fuck you, shut your mouth. Wow, how very open-minded understanding of you. I guarantee that not a single person protesting that video actually cares about the issue, because if they did, they would be explaining their argument like an adult to try to help the people in disagreement understand their point of view and join their side. There's no way that the people yelling this don't know that this is an ineffective way to get someone to agree with you. It's a performance. Students are just hopping on the bandwagon so their peers can know how woke they are. It makes me immensely disappointed to see that this is how we treat people who disagree with us. Instead of sitting down and respectfully offering a constructive argument, we just yell nonsense. You look lost and unintelligent. You look like a bunch of children crying because mommy didn't cut the crust off your sandwich. And to see the professor calmly and respectfully responding to the chaotic situation not only leaves me with respect for him, but it also gives the statement so much more credibility because he's acting rationally and not emotionally. Even if I knew absolutely nothing regarding what this argument was about, I would immediately assume that he has something more valuable to say than the people childishly yelling obscenities. I feel like this video really shows just how far from open-minded we actually are. It's like we're only accepting of the things that the majority agree should be accepted. But open-mindedness doesn't mean only being receptive to beliefs that align with our own. It means being willing to consider different ideas even when we don't agree with them. And yeah, maybe we can't judge the entirety of a generation solely based off one video, but this is not the only video out there like this. These people are college students, young adults attending university. Could you imagine if the 10-year-olds who can't see over the steering wheel were there too? Everyone in Gen Z is performative. There's even a term now called performative activism because there's such a massive amount of people who just mindlessly repost infographics so they can look woke regarding a trendy social issue. I remember when people were backing Greta Thunberg and raging against the environmental destruction we're causing, but the same people reposting that shit on social media were stuffing their faces with McDonald's burgers like animal agriculture isn't one of the leading causes of climate change. Reposting pictures on Instagram doesn't actually help the situation. It's just giving you this false sense of reassurance that you're doing your part when you're not. I still scroll through the friendship version of Bumble sometimes, I made a video about that too, and I see bios with swipe left if you voted for Trump, as if the pedophile with dementia was that much less embarrassing. Neither of them should be celebrated, and the fact that we voted for either of them is a national atrocity. We're clearly divided, and it's over the dumbest shit. You don't want to be friends with someone who has a different opinion on something as irrelevant as politics? Bro, who cares? Half of you aren't even old enough to vote. This whole idea of just shuffling through everyone who isn't exactly like us is a perfect example of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias reads, the tendency to search for information that is consistent with one's already existing beliefs. You're just looking for validation to justify your perspective and ignoring anything that threatens it. This is a problem because you won't ever be exposed to information that challenges your beliefs. Instead of processing new ideas that can potentially shift your views for the better, you just live in this main character fantasy where you're always right.